Hey guys, hi from Chiang Mai in Thailand's far north. It's a really cool place that I've been to a number of times, and I'd like to show you some really cool stuff from different experiences traveling through here, and see what's going on here today as well, what changes have happened and so on. So let's get into it. Phae Gate. So this is pretty much the kind of, I guess you would say, spiritual heart of Chiang Mai. And yeah, it's traditionally been a gathering spot. You see there's a fair few number of people hanging around today, mostly taking photos of themselves, but yeah, many a night I've spent in this little square. That's part of the city moat that goes around Chiang Mai. There's a square-shaped moat, and the old town is behind the wall, which is actually a reconstruction. It's not all original, but still it's cool that they've done that. It's definitely really interesting. So this plaza, yes, I've spent many evenings in this plaza years back, playing drums and playing guitars and singing and hanging out with interesting people from around the world. First time I came into Chiang Mai was 2003, and that was quite a memorable trip when they had the war on drugs going in Thailand, and they were just going around machine gunning people who were even suspected of being involved in that kind of thing. And then I roll into town, still had a little bit of a hippie vibe going on, or bohemian vibe, whatever, with my guitar on my shoulder, and my ex from Germany. So we went through all of Thailand on that trip, like a big trip around, quite a long trip. But when we came to Chiang Mai, yeah, we went to a place that was supposed to be a good place for being smoker friendly, let's put it that way. And we did imbibe a little bit on something that we had picked up along the way from a kind of hippie-ish Thai guy in Bangkok, before he probably ended up getting busted, I would say, because he ran a bar and it was gone when we went back to Bangkok. The whole place had been closed down. But anyway, when we came here, we went to this place. Like I said, it was supposed to be smoker friendly. Went up on the roof, and the woman said we can do that, but she was very worried about it because it was the war on drugs then, like I said. And we had a big Marley, and when she realized the size of it, she was completely freaked out because of the smell and the neighbors, and someone could pick up the phone and who knows what happens, right? It could be 20 cops with like machine guns or whatever kicking in the door. So yeah, so that's just like what it was like back in 2003. So yeah, at that time, I remember I took the train up, sleeper train from Bangkok. Nice trip, very comfortable, definitely recommend it. It probably hasn't changed much actually. Oh, let me tell you guys, if you go down here and take the next left, you come to the music pub area of Chiang Mai with live music, which is really cool. All right, let's head along a bit and I'll tell you some stories. So yeah, so like I said, the woman freaked out in that cafe. Anyway, we finished our session, and anyway, just to compare with what it's like now, it's like totally the opposite. There are herb stores or dispensaries or whatever all around the place, much cheaper than Bangkok as well, for people who are into that kind of thing. I just thought I'd mention it as a comparison, but you know, my life moved on a bit, so I'm not much into that kind of stuff anymore, unless maybe someone had a birthday party, for example, something like that. But yeah, so the first evening or afternoon, I guess it would have been afternoon, rolling up into Chiang Mai 2003, and went to the place that we had booked, a nice room, it should have been. And they're like, oh, sorry, problem with the toilet. We have to move you to our other building, but don't worry, it's the same quality. Well, it was like 1 star, totally different quality. Let me quickly jump to a different story about this place. Yeah, this one was, I don't know if it's still a guest house, but was run by a Turkish guy at one point. And he had a very gorgeous looking local girl working in there for him. Oh, there's the boxing stadium, by the way. Very annoying. They drive past with all these speaker things blaring out about boxing. But anyway, back to the story with the girl, right? It's a better story, huh? So, yeah, he ended up starting up something with this staff, like worker who did whatever job working there, right? Which, okay, it'd be frowned upon in the West, you know, to be having it off with one of your employees. But anyway, that's what he did, and made her to be like a kind of girlfriend, although giving her a lot of cash to keep her on board with the idea. And didn't work out in the end because she got caught upstairs with some handsome looking backpacker guys from Scandinavia and so on. So that didn't end up well for her. But then somehow she was able to still work there a little bit, and then, oh, actually not. That's right, yeah, that's right. She went to work for the guy's friend, his friend, my friend. Yeah, she went to work for the Turkish guy's Turkish friend who had a kebab stand, and that guy was a real interesting person, put it that way. Not the kind I'd want to hang out with, but anyway, very short guy. And he tried to pick up with that girl where the other guy had broken off, or she had broken off with the other guy, whatever. So he thought he'll give it a whirl. So he started to try to give her gifts and stuff, and gave her a job working for him on this kebab stand, right? Oh, by the way, this bar used to be really pumping, like a kind of a sports bar. It seems quiet now, but usually it's one of the busiest around. Okay, let's dip down this side street. It's like a real kind of conduit, like through the heart of the backpacker part of Chiang Mai. Anyway, back to the story. So, the second Turkish guy, he was trying to play his hand with this girl, but it didn't work out. She was onto it, and she was like, nah, she's not gonna quite go that far, even if he's giving her gifts, you know? So that's where I come into the picture. I swing through town, and she's selling chicken kebabs outside a famous night spot in this town, which we'll talk about probably in the next video, maybe. But quite a story. So had an interesting fling going on there, and when the kebab stand owner guy like realized, oh my god, the look on his face, right? And he's trying to be like not very nice, let's put it that way. But we won't go into that story anymore. It was pretty funny actually in the end. I stayed for a month. That was actually my second trip to Chiang Mai, which was about 12 years ago, where I stayed for a month. Quite the adventure. And this little lane we're going down is, I think, the best one really for connecting everything, because mostly the gravitation of energy goes through this way for good hotels and backpackers and so on. Through this window here, there's an old wooden house. It was a really nice and quite cheap hotel. It's even got a swimming pool. So, and it's got some little kind of cabins around the sides too. One was super cheap, 100 baht, with a tree growing through the middle of the room, but not exactly rat-proof, put it that way. There were a couple of holes in the bottoms of the walls where the tree grew through, which they tried to block with wire mesh. But I had some experiences staying in this place. In the pool, met a few interesting girls, and on the balcony there, some crazy ones as well. I think we won't get into the story about the really crazy one there, but so anyway, we won't go into more about the story with the kebab girl either, right? We'll leave that one. Actually, I used to call her the chicken lady. But she was totally gorgeous, like really good looking. Very nice looking. So they're renovating this place. This was an old wooden Thai house. It's very old, the basic structure actually. Hopefully they're careful and make it look tasteful. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I used to call her the chicken lady. Not to her face, I think, or maybe, but because she sold chicken kebabs, right? Just here on the left, there's a really cool bookshop, infamous in Chiang Mai. I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a good read while you're in town. That's the place to find it. One of the better second-hand bookshops in all of Thailand, actually. Okay, but we're pretty much continuing. We just crossed the street. Keep going the same way. Same lane, actually. Okay, so yeah, I was gonna also tell you some more stuff about around Phae Gate. Like I said, I used to play music there a lot and hang out with other travelers. And remember one evening after I finished playing, went to put the guitar in the guitar bag, noticed the side pocket was unzipped where the guitar tuner goes. Had a look, the tuner was gone. So someone took it. So I actually told some of the girls standing around there, and one of them kind of whispered in a way that no one would realize that it was an old man that she said was from Laos who had taken the guitar tuner. It's pretty weird. Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Why are you crying?
So the old guy took the guitar tuner after I had like played songs for at least an hour to entertain him and everyone else hanging out there. And he had a kind of an image that was kind of, you know, a little bit hippie-ish. But anyway, I thought, damn, do that, like, you know, after someone plays music for you for over an hour. But yeah, he gave it back and pretended it was some kind of misunderstanding, like he didn't realize how he took it out and put it in his bag or whatever. So anyway, old guy from Laos story. Couple samlaws driving past there. Good honest work, I say. Ban tuk-tuks and taxis. Have only samlaws. Keep the drivers honest and fit and healthy. That way, at least if they spend all their profits on whiskey at night, they might be able to sweat most of it out the next day without suffering too much. We don't want suffering too much in the world. It's true though, but yeah. But have you ever thought, you need a bit, right? Otherwise, people don't learn certain things. And then the ability of people diminishes until there's a crisis, which might not be able to be surpassed. Speaking of crises, or a crisis, no, we weren't actually speaking about that much, and I don't want to go into that. Alrighty, we'll forget about that. So anyway, because I can't think of any crises up here, not too serious anyway. Right, now we're coming on to this kind of side street, which is also along this stretch of it, very good for little hotels and guest houses. So the way that I'm walking today, it's the way that's the nicest way to walk in Old Chiang Mai, to see how everything connects and is quick, nice looking, and it has the biggest concentration of interesting things along the way. You might have seen there's a bit of street art back there, quite a lot these days in Chiang Mai. And it's just rained a wee bit earlier. Some street art over here. Yeah, so just rained a bit earlier because it's actually the rainy season. So that's really good. You might think, why would you want to travel in the rainy season? But it's actually really good for Chiang Mai. In the last decade or so, I guess especially the last decade, Chiang Mai has developed some of the worst smog in the world. If you come here like around, say, January, February, or even like November, December, it's very risky that you might get smoked out, not in the way that you want to get smoked out. Like, I'm talking about smog out. But talking about smoked out, this is the hostel where I'm staying at. Very nice, I recommend it. If you want to know more about it, have a look in my Chiang Mai airport video. You can rent motorbikes over here, I think. Seems to be. Or you can get a tattoo, or you can do both. If you want to really get into the biker look. Yeah, beauty and spa over there. So, as you can see, it's pretty laid back actually. A bit more graffiti down there. It's a cruisy place. Chiang Mai is very relaxed and laid back. So if you get here when the air is not dirty, it's nice. So right now the weather is definitely a bit humid, a little bit warm. You can see the sun's peeking through the clouds a bit. It's reasonable weather.
Sometimes we would like party in the restaurant, and sometimes people would go.
I'm like a little bit steamy, but not too much. Not like really sweaty. Definitely feeling warm a wee bit, but not too much. So there are still some old buildings sprinkled around in the old town area here. You can see like a fair few number of places are made from wood. They're quite old places, probably 100 years or something, like some of them, or more, depending. Like even this one with the wooden doors on the outside, you can see. The one on the corner there has a bit of an old look. A few bars sprinkled along in here, but it's not like over the top crazy. It's like low-key, chill, relaxed. Like, you know, you get some bars with a good number of people. In the beginning I mentioned there's the live music area. If you go right from Tapai Gate and then take a left, and that area is really, really cool. Actually, Chiang Mai had quite the reputation for live music, with a lot of foreign musicians hanging out. Had a great scene when I first arrived. Well, when I came the second time, actually, to Thailand. That was in 2012, the second time I came up here. And there was a lot of jamming going on. A couple months later, the cops cracked down on it. Some immigration police or other government people, I'm not sure who exactly, but some people in the government complained because apparently they got some complaints from local Thais that there were foreigners taking work from Thais, namely with playing live music in Chiang Mai, which was ridiculous because pretty much like those people were mostly just jamming, like jam nights, open microphone nights. Some of them might have been getting a little bit of money from a few cafes or something here and there, or even a few bars, but nothing to get too excited about. And actually the foreign musicians were developing the music scene, that there was a bigger music scene and more live music and more places that would offer live music than there would have been. So they're actually increasing the amount of work, plus the fact that local musicians could play with foreign musicians and get opportunities they wouldn't get normally, lift their game and have some higher level players to play with to you know, lift up their own profiles over time. So it didn't make much sense, right? Kind of put me off playing music in Thailand, actually. Before that, in other countries, I used to regularly play concerts. And since that time, not so much. because it doesn't feel like it's a good idea to get into doing that kind of thing seriously in Thailand. But I know of other people who do it, but who knows, maybe things are changing now. It seems like Thailand's in the middle of a loosening up phase at the moment. Here's another kind of gate area. You might have seen the moat there. All right, it's getting a wee bit warm actually. It's a good food market along the side here. Along the side of the canal up here. Definitely recommend you check that out. Just along the side here you see the bunch of vendors. I think it's better now than it was when I came here last time. Even though I stayed a month last time I was here. Or maybe it was the time before last time, I should say. But it seems better now. More food, more street food. It was harder to find good street food for a fair price before. Looks all right. Let's duck down here a bit. So that you see there's a market inside there. This market was actually the best place to get something to eat. And now you see there are more street food stalls across the road by the moat that I just pointed out. So it's actually better now. The market was where I used to mostly eat, but there were a few other street stands that were decent, but not like really cheap that much. But this corner restaurant is okay, like not the cheapest, but not expensive. It's got basic Thai dishes. It's a good spot to sit and watch people. Maybe you pay 5 baht more to sit there or something. More street art around, plenty of color. This street pretty much goes through the center of the old part, but even though it's quite active, I never really think of it as being like the main street as far as like travelers go, although obviously it's really important for Chiang Mai. It's a nice one, nice house there. I don't think it's original, but very nice still. Yeah, so I was thinking it would be interesting if I ran into that girl I was dating that I mentioned who worked for the kebab guy. Be good for the video, wouldn't it? All right, enough kebab stories there. Careful where you put your kebab, guys and girls. Okay, so it's a very classic kind of little Thai outdoor type bar. So Chiang Mai has got a different vibe from other regions of Thailand because this region that Chiang Mai is in was its own kingdom quite a long time ago, a few hundred years back. But yeah, it still retained some of the ways that make it a wee bit different from other parts of Thailand. In the old days, it was called Lana, or Lana Kingdom. I suppose in English you'd say that. In Thai, what would you say? I don't know. I have no idea at all. 13211. And another music shop. Cool. Music shops. Anyway, So it was its own kingdom until it got incorporated into the rest of Thailand at some point in the not too distant future. Back like a wee bit before Seeker of the Way was doing his first road trips. Back when there were other Seekers of the Way who laid the groundwork. It's a glorious fake building, isn't it? But why not? It's fun. It's obviously not really old, but it looks cool. Tourist Service Center. I'm sure they'll service you there. Of course, in Western countries, you cannot call a place something like that. It sounds like you're saying it's an official government tourism office or an official city tourism office, but in a country like Thailand, basically everything goes if you pay the right people. And so you got to be careful with these tourism offices in Thailand. They're just private businesses, and not all of them are like a good deal either. So just something to think about, because they have made a habit over many decades of deceiving people and selling package tours where you don't get everything you paid for. For example, like I said about the hotel I had booked in Chiang Mai, and then they didn't give us the nice room we had booked. They gave us one of the lowest quality rooms you'd find anywhere in the whole city. Did we get anything back from that in the end? I think we did, actually. We went back to the place where we booked it in Bangkok and explained carefully without yelling, and we got something back, a bit of money. What's that guy there? He's got a Vietnamese military hat and a red flag. Is he from Vietnam? Okay, so anyway, things have changed over the last few decades, and of course a lot more Thai people now have disposable income and travel around the world. It's changed a lot even in the last 10 years. So travel and tourism within Thailand by Thai people has definitely changed as well, and places where there are old buildings have become considered very cool now for young Thai people to travel to these places, and they get a lot more tender loving care, and old buildings are renovated. Not so many years back they were just left to rot, but yeah, it's changed, and there's some nice parts of that and some other parts where they need more standards and they need to learn a bit more about what renovation means. Sometimes they strip out 90% of the original and then try to claim it's like a heritage thing after they've taken almost everything original out when they didn't need to. All right, let's get across here. All right, another cool little pagoda.
여기로 다니는 거야. 여기로 가자고.
Something pretty cool, obviously. An old temple right in the middle of Chiang Mai. It's actually a very famous one, I guess the most famous one in the old town area. Let's get up here to the main gate and have a proper look. And I wonder if they're trying to charge people money for going in there these days. I'm quite sure that they were not doing that when I first came here, but I just question it now because I don't know, because I keep seeing that now across the region. A lot of places that were free, they start to charge $1 or $2 with no sign the money goes to anything like renovation. But I'm not saying they're doing that here, but they are doing it here. Anyway, interesting. What did it say? 50 baht, hey? 50 baht. 50 baht makes you smart. Keep my 50 baht in my pocket, it makes me smart. Now, I've already been in there a few times back in the day, and I'm sure you didn't have to buy a ticket then. So, it's a trend in the region, eh? Yeah. Well guys, just remember, Chiang Mai was always on the hippie tourist, traveler, backpacker, whatever, trail, you know, back in the day, with the reputation of opium, guns, everything goes, renting motorbikes and racing around the hills and mountains, jungle-clad ones, and hoping not to crash and kill yourself, meeting interesting, exotic local women, and so on. And has it changed much? Well, I wasn't here actually back in the original days of the early backpackers, but it's here long enough ago that I can say, has it changed much? Not that much, surprisingly. It's a bit more popular, but this is the low season, so I guess high season's pretty crazy nowadays. But if you come in rainy season, it's a good time of year, I reckon. All right, so if you haven't already, subscribe and like and hit the bell button. It would be cool. Drop us a comment and hit that buy me a coffee link so I won't be too thirsty. And see you guys in the next one. Don't be late.